kindergartners. We are going to continue learning about severe weather. Yesterday we talked about thunderstorms, and thunderstorms can produce rain, lightning, thunder, and also a little bit of hail. But another thing a thunderstorm can produce is a tornado. And yes, we get these in Colorado, okay? The closest one that's actually been said is a true tornado touched down on a lake called Sloan's Lake. You might have been there. It's off of Sheridan and 26th and Sheridan. There may have been a tornado in the middle of the night a few years ago near Crown Hill. It's never been documented, but a lot of weird things happened in the middle of the night that made people think it was. They kind of thought it was a microburst, so we're not 100% sure on that. But tornadoes do happen in Colorado. Unlikely that it's going to happen in Wheat Ridge because we're so close to the mountains. Tornadoes usually happen in a place called Tornado Alley, and I'm going to show you that on a map. But tornadoes come from thunderstorms. You cannot get a tornado just outside today and all of a sudden a tornado forms. It has to come with a thunderstorm. Meteorologists are really good at looking at these thunderstorms. When they look at a thunderstorm on their radar, they can see one big thing. Is it rotating in a circle? If it is, they put out tornado warnings, they put out tornado watches, you get alerts on your phone, and we talked about those sirens, they're going to go off, okay? So it's not just going to all of a sudden tornado come down, okay? It has to have the right conditions. There needs to be a thunderstorm. Okay, and I'm going to show you a couple of things about tornadoes. And I think tornadoes are super interesting. When I was in elementary school, I actually got to go down to 9 News and I met a meteorologist named Kathy Sabin who's still there, and she talked to me about tornadoes. I've just always found them so fascinating. Now, a tornado, if you look at this picture, the tornado looks white. And tornadoes are white until they touch down. If you look at this picture, this tornado is a little darker. It's because it has touched the ground and it's picking up dust, it's picking up dirt, it's picking up grass. So it's changing the color, okay? All right, so let's look at this. Again, talked about the thunderstorm. Here is the lightning. Here is the tornado. All right, this is an interesting picture of different ways a tornado can look. It's not just straight up and down. Look at that one turn. So tornadoes are very dangerous. Severe weather is dangerous because it spins wind fast, really fast. And it's all measured on a Fujita scale, which I will show you in just a second. And that's how bad the tornado is, how fast it's swimming or spinning. So if you look at this, you could see that this tornado actually took off part of the roof and this car actually flipped over. So tornadoes form from a giant thunderstorm called a supercell. A supercell happens when warm, moist air rises to mix with cold, dry air. Okay, so when the warm air rises and it mixes with cold air, it can form the supercell. So you would be able to see this cell and know it could produce a tornado. Not necessarily, but it could. Here is a funnel. Okay, this is the tornado before it touches down. Sometimes we see funnel clouds in the sky and they don't come down. So they just say we spotted a funnel. Hasn't actually touched down. The mixing of cold and warm air causes the air to spin. Cold air, warm air, they meet together, they start spinning in a circle. The spinning wind turns a cloud into a funnel shape. As the cloud turns, the wind becomes stronger, starting to go faster and faster. When that funnel touches the ground, it's then called a tornado. Okay, so here's a little picture again. The cold air is up here, warm air is rising. We get the warm air from the sun, and you could see that it's starting to spin. We have rain, we have hail, and then it starts to spin. Once the tornado hits the ground, it becomes dangerous because it's spinning and it's going to have wind touch everything, but also everything that it touches starts flying around. They call it debris. So if it touches down and you have lawn stuff like a lawnmower out, that lawnmower is going to be going flying through the air. So it's also super important to be inside during a tornado because of the types of debris. Tornadoes can pick up a car and throw a car. Okay. Those are big tornadoes, but it could happen. Okay. This is the Fujita scale. So this is how tornadoes are measured. So they could say, oh, we had F1, F2, F3, and the worst being an F5. And F5 is this red one. That means the wind is going over 200 miles per hour. Little ones could be 65 to 85 miles an hour in F1, F2, F3, F4. Most of the time in Colorado, you're going to see an F1 or an F2. And again, this is out east, past I-25, headed towards Nebraska or Kansas if you've ever drawn that way. So they use this scale to say what the tornado was. Where do tornadoes form? I told you they form in a place called Tornado Alley. But what is Tornado Alley? They go right here. Could they happen anywhere? Yes. Most likely. All of the time, they happen in Tornado Alley. Here is Colorado right here. And you see this green area is Tornado Alley. So you can see part of Colorado is in Tornado Alley. Texas, pretty much all of Oklahoma, Kansas, Nebraska, and parts of South Dakota are in Tornado Alley. And again, we have cold, dry air. This is coming from the North Pole. Okay, cold, dry air. Canada, it's coming down. Down here, there's a body of water called the Gulf of Mexico. It's going up. This is warm air and it's moist. It's wet because it's coming off the Gulf of Mexico, which is touching the Atlantic Ocean. When the wet, cold, warm air meets the cold, dry air is when you can get that spinning to create a tornado. More than 1,000 tornadoes strike Tornado Alley each year. There's usually at least one a day, sometimes more than one a day. This picture, you can see the path. If you look closely, kind of moved around, these are houses. You can see, not right there. Again, we use meteorologists that work for the National Weather Service who give us the warnings, and they predict when a tornado might come. Usually they will put out a tornado watch. If they think it's going to be a day that we could see one, they're going to put out a watch. And that tells us that if we're outside, we need to be alert that it could possibly happen today. Again, highly unlikely to happen in Wheat Ridge because we are so close to the mountains. If a tornado warning happens, okay, sirens are going off, you're getting alerts on your phone, the TV, it's important to go to a safe place. Anytime there is a true thunderstorm with lightning and thunder, you should be inside. Now, during a tornado, you need to go to a safe place. The safest place to go is in the basement. If you can't go there, go to a closet, go to a bathroom, but you need to stay away from windows. And you want to stay away from the windows because the wind will cause your windows to break. Also, debris. Debris is going to start flying. Things could be flying into your house, and you want to make sure you stay safe. Now, our airport, if you've ever flown out of DIA, you'll notice we have tornado signs on some of the bathrooms because DIA is actually in a place that could get lots of tornadoes. So if you're ever at the airport, there's not a basement. You would go into that bathroom to stay away so you're not by any windows. You can see a picture of some of the destruction. A lot of people who live in like Kansas, Oklahoma, they have shelters underground, which is what this is a picture of, where if a warning happens, the family goes inside here. There's a big door and they are safe from the tornado. In schools, we do tornado warnings. And we will have warnings and we practice them at school. If there's a tornado drill and you would go into the hallway away from windows and you would cover your head because we want to make sure nothing flying around the debris would hurt our head. Okay, so that's something we do at school. Just like a fire drill, we do a tornado drill. Okay, so it's not safe to be in a mobile home during a tornado. Mobile homes are a little lighter, they lift up, okay? So if you go to a tall building, you need to go to the stairs. If you're in a car, it says to put your seatbelt on, okay? That way, I mean, if that car moves, at least you're going to be staying in there. So a couple interesting facts about famous tornadoes. In 1925, so 96 years ago, there was a tornado and it traveled 300 miles. And it went through Missouri, Illinois, Indiana. Okay, tornadoes are dangerous again. Okay, this tornado killed 695 people, the highest number of people killed by a tornado. Okay, tornadoes sometimes last for a second, a minute, 2 minutes, but they could last longer. There's not a set thing if it's a tornado how long it will last on the ground. In 1992, a tornado in Mississippi carried a baby up into the air, left it hanging from a branch in a tree, but the baby lived. Okay, so crazy stories have happened. I've heard stories of cows out because a lot of the farmlands are in Tornado Alley, right? Cows and different things. Cows get picked up, horses get picked up, and then their owners, the farmers, find them miles away, perfectly fine. They just went on a little ride. They got in the tornado, they got put somewhere else. So very interesting. All right. So, conclusions, tornadoes are amazing and scary. They are a power of nature. Okay. We don't know 100% about tornadoes. We are still learning about them as we go. I do have a mystery Doug who's going to tell us a little bit of why they're so hard to predict. We know when the weather could happen, but it's not like we know tornado is happening today at this time so that we can all be safe. So he's going to tell us a little bit more about tornadoes.
Hi, it's Doug. Making a mini tornado like I'm doing here is so fun. But tornadoes in real life are no fun at all. I grew up in a place where tornadoes would happen every year. Luckily, no one ever got hurt. But when a tornado was spotted, the town would sound the sirens and everyone knew to take shelter. Someone named Hai Ming has a question about tornadoes. Let's give him a call now.
Hi, Doc.
Hey, Hai Ming.
I have a question for you. Why is it so hard to predict a tornado?
That's a great question. Tornadoes are a type of extreme weather made of powerful, swirling winds. Some tornadoes are strong enough to tear buildings apart, like this one. Watch this. It tears the roof off that house. You see that? The most powerful tornadoes can leave behind entire towns that have been destroyed. That's what you're seeing here. Because of how dangerous tornadoes can be, weather forecasters try to warn people if a tornado is going to happen. That way, everyone nearby can get somewhere safe. The more time people have before a tornado hits, the less likely they are to get hurt. So, forecasters try to predict tornadoes as far ahead of time as they can. But for most of history, the only warning you got about a tornado was if you looked outside and you saw one. Today, tornado warnings have gotten a lot better, and that's thanks to tools like radar, which help forecasters see patterns in the weather. But tornado warnings still aren't great. Most times, people only get warned about 13 minutes ahead of time. That's not much time at all. What do you think makes it so hard to predict tornadoes ahead of time? Now would be a good time to pause the video and discuss. Okay, you ready? It might help us figure this out if we compare tornadoes with another form of extreme weather, hurricanes. Unlike tornadoes, hurricanes are pretty easy to predict. Usually, hurricane warnings give people at least 2 days before a hurricane hits. That's enough time to pack up your things and get somewhere safe. But hurricanes form very differently than tornadoes do. You see, hurricanes start out over the ocean. Then they travel for days or even weeks before they hit the land. Scientists can easily see the clouds of a hurricane forming, so they can figure out where a hurricane is likely to hit and how strong it will be. Tornadoes aren't like that. They form over land and quickly swoop down out of the sky to touch the ground. Tornadoes can form and start causing destruction within minutes. Scientists don't have days or weeks to predict them like they do with hurricanes. Instead, scientists look at weather maps showing big thunderstorms like this. This is a storm moving across the US state of Oklahoma. Scientists put together weather images like a video to try and spot where tornadoes are forming. Did you catch the tornado here? Let's watch again. The tornado starts right there on the edge of the storm. It was really quick. Tornadoes are there, and then they're gone. So it's hard to predict exactly where and when a tornado will hit. But scientists have figured out that at the very least, they can pay attention to what weather conditions are likely to lead to tornadoes. That way, people can be on the lookout. The first thing scientists look for is a thunderstorm. But not every thunderstorm creates a tornado. Scientists check for strong winds from different directions, coming together in just the right way to create a vortex. Kind of like when you unplug the drain in a bathtub. The water starts to swirl and makes a vortex going down the drain. In a tornado, there's a vortex of air, but it's going upward into the storm clouds above. Today, scientists are working on better ways to predict tornadoes using computers. They hope that eventually they'll be able to predict tornadoes up to an hour in advance, so people have more time to prepare. But tornadoes will never have as much warning time as things like hurricanes. Luckily, people in tornado zones often have basements and tornado shelters which can protect them, even if a tornado comes quickly. So, in summary, scientists know that tornadoes come from big thunderstorms with strong spinning winds. But predicting exactly when and where tornadoes will hit is still really difficult. That's all for this week's question. Thanks, Haimeng, for asking it.
All right, boys and girls. So, what I'd like you to get out is your types of severe weather book that we started yesterday. And this is just a book for us to read. It doesn't have anything we need to be doing in the book, it just has something for us to read. And there's a little bit of a delay because you can't see my book. But the very first page is about tornadoes. So, go ahead and open up to the very first page. And it says, tornadoes are strong windstorms. Let's read that together. Tornadoes are strong windstorms. One more time. Tornadoes are strong windstorms. So you can see a picture here. Nice dark cloud. The roof of the house is moving, and these little wiggly lines are the wind. Okay. So tornadoes are strong windstorms. Okay. They happen with a thunderstorm. And we know that if there is a thunderstorm outside, it's important to go inside. All right, boys and girls, I can't wait to teach you more about severe weather next week. Have a great weekend.